The morning sky over New Pyongyang should have been beautiful. Instead, it burned with fire and smoke. Daewon ran across the colony square, his boots pounding against the metal floor. Behind him, explosions shook the outer buildings. The aliens had come without warning, dropping from the sky like deadly rain. They looked like giant insects, each one as tall as a grown man, with sharp claws and armor that glinted in the firelight. "Everyone get to the central dome," Daewon shouted into his radio. "Move now." People ran in all directions. Some carried children, others helped the elderly. Yuna, the colony's scientist, ran beside a group of workers, her tablet clutched to her chest. She had been studying the planet's soil when the attack began. Now she was just trying to survive. "How many?" she asked Daewon as they reached the dome entrance. 3,000 people in the colony," Daewon said, checking his rifle. "Maybe 2,000 made it inside so far." The central dome was the strongest building in the colony. It had thick walls made for protecting against storms and accidents. Now it would protect them against these creatures. The colonists called them Vreks, after the clicking sounds they made. Hyun-woo, a young engineer, sealed the heavy doors behind the last group of refugees. His hands shook as he worked the controls. He had fixed broken pipes and generators before, but he had never prepared for war. "The doors are locked," he said, "but they won't hold forever." Outside, the Vreks surrounded the dome. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They moved in organized groups, not like mindless animals, but like soldiers. That scared Daewon more than anything. These creatures were smart. Hyun set up a medical station in the dome's center. She was the colony's doctor, a calm woman who never panicked. But even she looked worried, as injured people kept arriving. Burns, cuts, broken bones. Some people were missing. "We need more supplies," Hyun said to Daewon. "Medicine, bandages, everything." "I know," Daewon replied. He looked at the crowd of frightened faces. "But we're cut off from the storage buildings." He had been a soldier once, back on Earth. That was 15 years ago, before he came to this distant planet to start a new life. He thought those days were behind him. He was wrong. The Vreks began their assault at noon. They fired strange weapons that shot acid, melting through metal and stone. The colonists fired back with mining equipment and the few weapons they had. It was not enough. Daewon organized the defenders into groups. 50 people guarded each section of the dome. They took turns watching and resting. But rest was hard when the Vreks never stopped attacking. Yuna studied the dead Vreks bodies that lay near the walls. She cut them open carefully, looking at their insides. If she could find a weakness, maybe they had a chance. "They're carbon-based, like us," she reported to Daewon. "But their blood is acidic. And look at this." She pointed to a organ near the creature's head. "I think this controls their communication. They work together like a hive." "Can we use that?" Daewon asked. "Maybe." "I need more time." Time was something they did not have. On the second day, the Vreks cut off the dome's power. The backup generators kicked in, but they only had fuel for a week. After that, no lights, no heat, no air circulation. Hyun-woo worked day and night to fix their communication system. The Vreks had destroyed the main transmitter. But maybe he could build something smaller. His fingers bled from working with sharp metal and hot wires. He did not care. On the third day, he succeeded. "I have a beacon," he announced. "It's weak. Very weak. It can only send a simple emergency signal." "How far will it reach?" Daewon asked. "Maybe a few light years. If anyone is listening, do it." Hyun-woo activated the beacon. A simple message went out into the darkness of space. "Help, under attack. New Pyongyang colony." The message repeated over and over, but even if someone heard it, they were so far from Earth. Help was weeks away. Maybe months. They would be dead long before then. The Vreks changed their tactics on the fourth day. They stopped the direct attacks and started digging. The ground around the dome shook as they tunneled beneath it. They were trying to get under the walls, seal the floor vents, Day 1 ordered. Use whatever you can find. The colonists welded metal plates over every opening. They poured concrete into cracks. But the digging sounds continued. Getting closer. Ha'un's medical supplies were almost gone. She used torn clothing as bandages. She mixed local plants into medicine, hoping they would work. 50 people had died already. More were badly hurt. Yuna made a discovery on the 5th day. Their eyes, she said excitedly. They see differently than us. Certain light frequencies hurt them. What kind of lights? Day 1 asked. Ultraviolet, very bright. We could make weapons maybe, or at least defenses. Do it. Use whatever you need. The food was running low. Water was rationed to 1 cup per person per day. Children cried from hunger. Adults gave them their portions. The dome felt smaller every day, packed with scared and tired people. On the 6th day, the Vrex pulled back suddenly. At first, the colonists celebrated. Maybe the aliens were leaving. Then Yuna saw what they were building. That's a cannon, she said, looking through a cracked window. A big one. The Vrex had constructed a massive weapon on a hill overlooking the dome. It was made from metal they had mined from the colony's outer buildings. The barrel pointed directly at them. How long do we have? Day 1 asked. Yuna calculated quickly. Based on what they're doing, maybe 48 hours until it's ready to fire. 1 shot from that will collapse the entire dome. Day 1 gathered his best fighters that night. 20 men and women who knew how to shoot, who were brave enough to try something desperate. We're going out there, he said. We're going to destroy their supplies, slow them down, buy time for the beacon to reach someone. That's suicide, one man said. Staying here is suicide too, Day 1 replied. At least this way we die fighting. They left at midnight, slipping through a small maintenance hatch. The Vrex patrols did not see them at first. Day 1's team moved like ghosts through the darkness, using everything he remembered from his soldier days. They found the Vrex supply depot and planted explosives. The blast lit up the night sky, destroying food and ammunition. The Vrex screeched in anger, swarming the area, but Day 1's team was already running back. They lost 3 people. 17 made it back to the dome. Did it work? Yuna asked. We bought maybe 2 more days, Day 1 said, exhausted. That's all. He looked at the frightened faces around him. 2,400 colonists remained, trapped in a metal dome on a planet far from home. Their beacon called out to the empty darkness, hoping someone would hear. Above them, the Vrex cannon continued to rise, getting ready to fire. The signal room of Earth Defense Force Command was always quiet. Officers watched screens that showed every corner of human space. Most days, nothing happened. Today was different. Lieutenant Park Bo-young sat up straight in her chair. Sir, I'm picking up something. Emergency frequency. Commander Lee walked over to her station. What is it? Distress beacon. Very weak. It's coming from New Pyongyang Colony. Outer Rim. Lee's face went serious. Play it. The message was simple and terrible. Help. Under attack. New Pyongyang Colony. It repeated 3 times, then nothing. How old is this signal? Lee asked. 6 days, sir. It took that long to reach us. Get me fleet command. Now. Within an hour, every important person in Earth's military was in a meeting. Admirals, generals, politicians. They all looked at the same question. What could they do? New Pyongyang is 47 light-years away. Admiral Hong said. Our nearest ship is the carrier Indomitable, under Captain Kang Min. Even at maximum speed. They're 10 days out. 10 days, someone repeated. Those colonists could be dead already. Or they could be holding on, another voice argued. We have to try. Captain Kang Min received his orders at 0600 hours. He was a man of 40 years, with gray in his hair and scars from a dozen battles. He had fought in the Titan Wars and the Saturn blockade. He knew what war looked like. All hands. Battle stations, he announced over the ship's speakers. We have a mission. The Indomitable was the newest carrier in the fleet. It held 50 dropships and 200 elite soldiers. Its engines could push it faster than almost any ship in space. But even that might not be fast enough. Navigation, plot a course to New Pyongyang, Kang Min ordered. Maximum burn. I don't care if we melt the engines. Sir, that's dangerous, his first officer said. We'll be pushing past safety limits. There are 3,000 civilians who need us. Set the course. In the hangar bay, Sua checked her dropship for the 10th time. She was the best pilot in the carrier. Known by her call sign Phoenix, she had flown through storms, battles, and once through a field of asteroids that everyone said was impossible. Phoenix, you nervous? Asked her co-pilot. Always, Sua admitted. Keeps me sharp. Around her, 50 other pilots prepared their ships. They knew this mission would be hard. Orbital insertions under fire were the most dangerous thing a pilot could do, but these were colonists, human beings who needed help. In the lower decks, Commander Tae Yang assembled his soldiers. They called themselves Reapers, and they were humanity's best. Each one wore powered armor that made them stronger and faster. They carried weapons that could cut through steel or burn through walls. Tae Yang was young for a commander, only 32, but he had earned his rank in blood. His team had rescued hostages from pirates, fought alien raiders, and defended stations against impossible odds. This was what they trained for. Listen up, Tae Yang said to his soldiers. We don't know what we're flying into. Could be raiders, could be something worse. Whatever it is, our job is simple. Get those colonists out alive. What if we're too late? Someone asked. Then we make the attackers regret it, Tae Yang replied coldly. The Indomitable burned through space at a speed that made the crew's teeth rattle. Engineer teams worked around the clock to keep the engines from exploding. They bypassed safety systems, pushed fuel beyond normal limits, and prayed to every god they could think of. Captain Kang Min barely slept. He stood on the bridge, watching the timer count down. 10 days. 9 days. 8 days. On the 5th day, they intercepted alien communications. The signals were strange, clicking and buzzing sounds that the computer struggled to translate. What are they saying? Kang Min asked. The translation officer looked sick. They're called the Vreks, sir. They're talking about destroying the colony dome. They've built some kind of siege weapon. It'll be operational in 72 hours. Kang Min did the math. They would arrive in 3 days. It would be close. Too close. Push harder, he ordered. Reroute power from everything we don't need. Life support, entertainment, kitchen systems. Everything goes to the engines. The ship grew cold as heating was reduced. The lights dimmed. But the Indomitable went faster. Sua and the other pilots spent their time planning the insertion. They studied maps of New Pyongyang, memorized every landing zone, practiced emergency maneuvers in the simulator. The Vreks will have anti-aircraft weapons, Sua told her squadron. We're going to lose ships. Maybe a lot of ships. But we can't slow down. Every second we waste is a colonist who dies. Her pilots nodded. They all volunteered for this mission. They knew the risks. Tae Yang's Reapers trained in the cargo bay. They practiced breaching techniques, urban combat, and fighting in confined spaces. They cleaned their weapons until they shined. They checked their armor seals over and over. What do we know about the Vreks? A soldier asked. Not much, Tae Yang admitted. They're hostile, organized, and they're trying to exterminate a human colony. That's all we need to know. On the 7th day, the Indomitable entered the outer system. They were still 2 days from New Pyongyang. But now, they could see it on their sensors. Sir, I'm reading multiple Vrek ships in orbit, the sensor officer reported. At least 30 vessels. They've blockaded the planet. Can we fight through them? Kang Min asked. If we have to, but it'll slow us down. Kang Min made a decision. We go in dark, cut all external power, coast on momentum. We'll look like debris, a dead ship. By the time they realize we're alive, we'll be right on top of them. It was a dangerous plan. Running dark meant no shields, no weapons, no maneuvering. If the Vreks spotted them, They would be helpless. But it was their best chance. The Indomitable went silent. It drifted through space like a ghost, invisible to enemy sensors. Inside, the crew worked by emergency lights, speaking in whispers even though sound did not travel through space. Sua sat in her dropship, waiting. Her hands gripped the controls. Around her, 49 other pilots waited in their ships. They could not see outside, could not know if they had been spotted. In the troop bay, Taeyong's Reapers stood in formation, locked into their deployment harnesses. Their armor's systems were on standby, barely humming. Each soldier thought about home, about the people they were trying to save. Captain Kang Min watched the plot on the main screen. The Vrex blockade was ahead of them, a wall of hostile ships between them and the planet. The Indomitable drifted closer. Closer. Range, 500 kilometers, the navigator whispered. The Vrex ships did not react. They thought the Indomitable was just another piece of space junk, a dead hulk. 300 kilometers. Sua's heart pounded. She had flown through danger before, but this was different. This was everything. 100 kilometers. Kang Min took a breath. All systems online. All weapons free. Launch fighters and begin orbital bombardment. Go. 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 The Indomitable exploded to life. Its engines roared back to full power. Weapon ports opened, spitting fire at the surprised Vrex ships. Fighters screamed out of the launch bays, weaving between enemy vessels. The carrier dove toward the planet, pushing through the blockade like a hammer through glass. Vrex ships fired back, but they were too slow, too confused. 2 Vrex vessels exploded, 3 more spun away, crippled. Entering atmosphere in 60 seconds, the pilot announced. On the planet's surface, the Vrex siege cannon was almost ready. Its operators made final adjustments, pointing it at the colony dome. The weapon began to charge, building up power for one devastating shot. Then the sky lit up with fire. The Indomitable burst through the clouds like an avenging angel, its weapons blazing. The first shot from orbit struck the Vrex cannon dead center, vaporizing it in a flash of light. Inside the colony dome, Day One heard the explosion. He ran to the window and looked up. Through the smoke and clouds, he saw them. Dropships, dozens of them, screaming down from the sky. They came, Yuna whispered beside him. Someone heard us. The dropships fell like meteors, burning through the atmosphere. Sua led the formation. Her Phoenix screaming through Vrex anti-aircraft fire. Explosions bloomed around her, but she did not slow down. All units, begin deployment, she called over the radio. Show these bugs what humanity looks like when we're angry. 6 days had passed since Hyunwoo sent the distress signal. Inside the colony dome, hope was dying faster than the people. Daewon walked through the crowded spaces, looking at the faces around him. Dirty, tired, scared. Children sat quietly, too hungry to play. Adults stared at nothing, conserving energy. The dome smelled of sweat and blood and fear. How much food left? He asked Ha-un. The doctor looked up from bandaging a wounded man's arm. 2 days. Maybe 3 if we cut portions again. Water? 1 day. Daewon nodded slowly. 1 day. Then they would start dying from thirst before the Vrex even broke through. He walked away before Ha-un could see the despair on his face. In the engineering section, Hyunwoo worked on the lights. Half of them had failed, leaving large parts of the dome in darkness. His hands were covered in grease and cuts. He had not slept in 40 hours. Is there any response to the beacon? Someone asked him. No, Hyunwoo said quietly. Nothing. Maybe nobody heard it. Maybe they heard, but could not come in time. Maybe humans were alone out here, and nobody cared if they lived or died. Outside, the Vrex were building something new. Yuna watched through a cracked window, taking notes on her tablet. The battery was almost dead, but she kept recording everything she saw. The Vrex moved like insects, but they thought like engineers. They had constructed a massive cannon on the hillside, bigger than any human vehicle. The weapon was made from salvaged colony metal, welded and shaped by alien claws. They're smart, Yuna said to Daewon when he came to check on her. Dangerously smart. This isn't just instinct. They're planning, adapting. How long until that thing fires? Day One asked. Yuna did calculations in her head. They're installing the final components now. Maybe 48 hours until it's operational. One shot will bring down the dome. Day One looked at the cannon, then at the people behind him. 48 hours. 2 days to live. We need to destroy it, he said. How? We barely have weapons. They have thousands of soldiers out there. I don't know yet. But I'll think of something. That night, Day One gathered his fighters. Only 17 remained from the last raid. They were the colony's best. But they looked beaten, exhausted. We're going out again, Day One said. We're going to hit their supply lines, slow down their construction. Buy time. For what? A woman named Jiwoo asked. Her brother had died in the last raid. Nobody's coming. We sent that beacon into empty space. Maybe. But maybe someone heard it. Maybe help is on the way. We just need to hold on a little longer. And if nobody comes? Day One met her eyes. Then we die knowing we fought. We die standing up. We don't give up while we still breathe. They left through the maintenance tunnel at midnight. The Vrex had learned to watch this exit. But Hyun-woo had rigged a distraction. An explosion on the opposite side of the dome. While the Vrex rushed to investigate, Day One's team slipped out into the darkness. They moved through the ruins of the outer colony. Buildings they had built with their own hands now stood empty and burned. The Vrex had stripped everything useful, leaving only shells. There, Day One whispered, pointing to a supply depot. The Vrex kept their equipment in what used to be the colony's warehouse. Guards patrolled the perimeter, their weapons glowing in the dark. Day One counted 12 guards. His team had 17 people and half that many working guns. We hit fast and hard, he told his team. Plant the explosives, then run. Don't try to be heroes. They attacked from 3 sides at once. The Vrex guards screeched in surprise as bullets tore through them. Day One ran forward, placing charges on fuel containers and ammunition crates. The Vrex responded quickly, more soldiers pouring from nearby positions. Fall back, Day One shouted. His team ran, but the Vrex were faster. They caught Jiwoo first, their claws slashing through her back. 2 more colonists went down screaming. Day One grabbed a fallen rifle and fired blindly behind him, trying to cover the retreat. The charges detonated, a massive fireball that lit up the night sky. The explosion threw Day One forward, slamming him into the ground. His ears rang. His vision blurred, but he forced himself up and kept running. 12 people made it back to the dome. 5 did not. Was it worth it? Ha-eun asked as she stitched a cut on Day One's forehead. Her hands shook with anger and grief. We bought maybe 30 more hours, Day One said. Every hour is a chance. Day One, but even he was starting to doubt. 7 days since the beacon. Nothing. No response. No rescue. No hope. The next morning, Yuna made a discovery. She had been studying the Vrex bodies they recovered, looking for weaknesses. Finally, she found something. Their eyes, she explained to a group of tired colonists. They see in different light than we do. Ultraviolet frequencies hurt them, maybe even blind them temporarily. Can we weaponize it? Day One asked. With what? We have no equipment left, Hyun-woo spoke up. The medical lights. Ha-eun has UV lamps for sterilizing equipment. And the grow lights in the food section. They emit UV too. That's not enough to fight with, someone said. No, but we can make barriers, Hyun-woo continued, getting excited. We line the weak points in the dome with UV lights. When the Vrex breach the walls, we blind them, slow them down. It was not much of a plan. But it was something. The colonists worked together, removing every UV light source they could find. Hyun-woo wired them into a system that could activate all at once. It might give us a few minutes, he said. That's all. A few minutes is better than nothing, Day One replied. On the 8th day, the Vrex cannon was complete. It stood on the hill like a monument to human defeat. Its barrel pointed directly at the dome. Yuna watched through binoculars as the Vrex loaded some kind of energy core into the weapon. "They're charging it up," she reported. 24 hours until it's ready to fire. 1 day. One more day to live. Yun ran out of medicine that afternoon. She used alcohol to clean wounds. She used torn clothing as bandages. She held the hand of a dying child and sang soft songs because there was nothing else she could do. Hyunwoo's hands bled from overwork, but he kept repairing things that broke. The air recycler, the water filter, the door seals. Each repair bought them a few more hours. Yuna stopped taking notes. There was no point documenting their deaths. Instead, she sat with people, listening to their stories, helping them write final messages to loved ones on Earth who would never receive them. Day 1 walked the perimeter, checking the defenses he knew would not hold. The walls were cracking. The doors were bent. When the cannon fired, the whole structure would collapse like a house of cards. That night, the colonists gathered in the center of the dome. Nobody said it was a final gathering, but everyone knew. Parents held their children. Couples embraced. Strangers became friends in the face of death. "I want to say something," Day 1 announced. The crowd grew quiet. "We came here to build something. A new world. A new home. We knew it would be hard. We knew there would be challenges." He looked at their faces, seeing courage mixed with fear. "We didn't expect this. We didn't ask for this war. But here we are. And we're still standing. Some of us won't see tomorrow. Maybe none of us will. But we stood together. We fought together. And if we die as humans, not as victims. We die on our feet," someone called out. "We die on our feet," others repeated. The chant grew until every voice joined in. "We die on our feet. We die on our feet." Outside, the Vrex heard the noise and wondered what kind of creatures made sounds when facing death. The final day dawned gray and cold. The Vrex cannon hummed with power, its energy core glowing bright enough to see from inside the dome. The Vrex army assembled, preparing for the end. Inside, the colonists prepared too. Those who could fight took positions at the walls. Those who could not huddled in the center, protected by those who would die first. Hyunwoo activated the UV light system one final time, making sure it worked. Hyun organized her medical area, knowing she would be overwhelmed in minutes. Yuna held her tablet, recording the final moments for anyone who might find the wreckage someday. Day 1 stood at the main door, his rifle in his hands. Around him, his remaining fighters took their positions. They had so little ammunition left. When it was gone, they would use knives, tools, their bare hands. The cannon finished charging. The barrel adjusted slightly, targeting the exact center of the dome. The Vrex stepped back from the weapon. "Here it comes," someone whispered. The silence was absolute. Every person held their breath. The cannon fired, and then the sky exploded with light. The Vrex cannon fired. The blast screamed through the air toward the colony dome. In that frozen moment, every colonist inside prepared to die. Then something hit the energy blast from above. An orbital strike from the Indomitable. A lance of pure light that intercepted the cannon's shot mid-flight. The two forces collided in an explosion that shook the ground and lit up the sky like a second sun. The cannon itself exploded a moment later, vaporized by precise fire from orbit. The Vrex near it scattered, screeching in confusion. Day 1 stood at the window, unable to believe what he was seeing. The sky was full of fire, but not from the cannon. Something else was coming down. Many somethings. "Look!" Yuna shouted, pointing up. Dropships. 50 of them, burning through the atmosphere like falling stars. They came in fast and hard, their hulls glowing orange from the heat. Vrex anti-aircraft weapons opened fire, filling the sky with tracers and explosions. Sua gripped the controls of her dropship as Phoenix screamed through the fire. Explosions bloomed all around her. Her shields took hit after hit. alarms screaming in her ears. Phoenix 3 is hit. Someone called over the radio. I'm going down. Phoenix 7, engines failing. Stay tight. Sua shouted back. We're almost through. A Vrex missile locked onto her ship. She rolled hard, the maneuver crushing her into her seat. The missile passed so close, she could see its fins. It exploded against Phoenix 12 instead. Phoenix 12 down. I count 5 dropships lost. 5 ships, 50 soldiers and crew. But Sua could not think about that now. She pushed through the clouds, and suddenly the colony was below her. The dome stood damaged but intact, surrounded by thousands of Vrex soldiers. All ships, begin attack runs, she ordered. Clear the area around that dome. The dropships opened fire. Guns blazed, missiles streaked downward, and the ground exploded with each impact. Vrex soldiers scattered, but there were so many of them. For every 10 that died, 20 more appeared. Inside the dome, the colonists watched in awe. Hyunwoo laughed, actually laughed, tears streaming down his face. They came. They actually came. Who are they? Ha-Yun asked. Earth Defense Force, Day One said, recognizing the ship markings. Those are our people. High above, Captain Kang Min coordinated the battle from the Indomitable's bridge. His ship had broken through the Vrex blockade, but not without cost. 2 of his escort ships were crippled. His carrier's hull had taken damage. Target the Vrex hive structures, he ordered. Cut off their reinforcements. The carrier's main guns fired, precise strikes that collapsed Vrex tunnels and destroyed their underground bases. But the Vrex on the surface kept fighting, swarming toward the colony dome. Deploy the Reapers, Kang Min said. All units. In the dropship holds. Tae Yang heard the order. You heard the captain. We're up. 200 Reapers activated their armor systems. The powered suits hummed to life, multiplying their strength and speed. Each soldier carried a plasma rifle and a monomolecular blade that could cut through almost anything. Remember your training, Tae Yang told his troops. We go in fast, we hit hard, and we don't stop until every Vrex is dead or running. Our people are counting on us. Reapers ready. His soldiers called back. The dropships swooped low over the battlefield. Doors opened. One by one, the Reapers jumped out, their armor's jump packs igniting as they fell. They looked like angels of war, trailing fire as they descended. Tae Yang hit the ground first, landing in the middle of a Vrex formation. His impact crushed 2 aliens beneath his armored boots. He spun, his plasma rifle spitting fire. 6 Vrex died before they even knew he was there. Around him, his Reapers landed like a hammer blow. They moved with deadly efficiency. Each one a perfect soldier. Their armor absorbed Vrex acid shots. Their weapons cut through Vrex armor like paper. A Vrex warrior charged Tae Yang, claws raised. He ducked under the strike and drove his blade through its chest. The monomolecular edge split the creature from stomach to head. He kicked the body away and fired at 3 more. Push forward, he shouted. Secure that dome. The Reapers advanced in formation, a wall of armored death. Vrex soldiers threw themselves at the humans. But they might as well have attacked a mountain. For every Reaper that fell back wounded, 10 Vrex died. Sua's Phoenix dropped low, its guns clearing a path for the ground forces. She saw Vrex trying to breach the dome's doors and fired a missile. The explosion hurled alien bodies through the air. Good shot, Phoenix, Tae Yang called over the radio. Keep that up. Copy that. Watch out. You've got more coming from the east. Tae Yang turned and saw a mass of Vrex charging across the open ground. Hundreds of them, maybe 1,000. All Reapers, concentrate fire east. The soldiers turned and unleashed hell. Plasma bolts lit up the battlefield. The front line of Vrex simply ceased to exist, vaporized by sustained fire. But more kept coming. They don't quit, one Reaper said. Neither do we, Tae Yang replied. Inside the dome, Day One organized the colonists. Open the doors. Let our people in. Are you crazy? Someone shouted. The Vrex will get in. Our soldiers need support. Open the doors. Hyunwoo hesitated, then activated the controls. The massive doors began to slide open. Immediately, Vrex tried to rush inside. Day One and his fighters were waiting. They fired everything they had, holding the entrance. Then the Reapers arrived. Tae Yang led a squad directly to the door, cutting down every Vrex in his path. He jumped through the opening and landed inside the dome, his armor's systems scanning for threats. "Area secure," he reported. Then he looked around at the frightened, exhausted colonists. "Which one of you is in charge?" Day One stepped forward, his old rifle still smoking. "I am. Or I was." Tae Yang looked at the former soldier, saw the determination in his eyes, the blood on his clothes. He nodded with respect. "You did good. You kept them alive. Now let us finish this." "Tell me what you need," Day One said. "Information. Where's their command center? How are they organized?" "1. Yuna pushed through the crowd. I can help with that. I've been studying them. They communicate through something like a hive mind. If we can find and destroy their war mind, the coordination leader, the rest might scatter." "Where is it?" Tae Yang asked. "The largest hive structure, about 3 kilometers east. Underground." Tae Yang opened a channel to his troops. "All units. New objective. We're going for their command center. Leave a defensive squad at the dome. Everyone else with me. Number 4. All units." Sua heard the order from her dropship. "I'll provide air cover. Phoenix Squadron, form up on me." The Reapers charged into the Vrex lines, fighting their way toward the hive. It was brutal combat, close and desperate. The aliens fought hardest near their command center, throwing everything they had at the humans. Tae Yang lost soldiers. Good people who had trained with him fought beside him. But he could not stop to mourn. He pushed forward, his blade dripping with alien blood, his rifle burning hot from constant firing. They reached the hive entrance, a massive hole in the ground. Tae Yang did not hesitate. He jumped in, his suit's lights activating as he fell into darkness. The tunnels were tight and wrong. The walls were organic, pulsing with some kind of bio-light. Vrex warriors filled every passage, defending their leader. "Forward!" Tae Yang shouted. "Don't stop." His Reapers pushed through the tunnels like a spear. They used grenades to collapse side passages, focusing their advance on the largest chamber. The Vrex screeched and clawed, but human determination and superior weapons won out. They found the war mind in the deepest chamber. It was huge, 3 times the size of a normal Vrex, covered in strange growths that looked like organic communication devices. It sat on a throne of hardened resin, surrounded by guards. "That's it," Tae Yang said. "Take it down." The battle was fierce. The guards were stronger and faster than normal Vrex. But the Reapers were Earth's finest. They worked as a team, covering each other, never giving the enemy an opening. Tae Yang fought his way to the war mind itself. The creature tried to strike him with a claw as long as his arm. He caught the blow on his armor, feeling the impact even through the powered suit. Then he drove his blade into the creature's head. The war mind shrieked, a sound that echoed through every tunnel. Then it fell silent, dead. Above ground, the Vrex army suddenly lost coordination. They began fighting as individuals instead of a unified force. Some tried to flee, others fought to the death, but their organization was gone, their advantage lost. "The aliens are breaking," Sua reported from the air. "They're running." Tae Yang and his squad emerged from the hive, covered in Vrex blood but victorious. Around the colony, the battle was ending. The Reapers had won. Inside the dome, the colonists cheered. They hugged each other, cried, laughed. They had survived. Against impossible odds, they had held on long enough. Day One stood at the entrance, watching the Earth soldiers secure the perimeter. Yuna stood beside him. Her tablet finally dead, its work done. Hyun-woo was already talking with Earth engineers about repairs. Ha-Yun treated wounded Reapers alongside wounded colonists, saving everyone she could. The sun was setting on New Pyongyang. The sky was orange and red, beautiful despite everything. They had made it through the darkness into a new day. The first night after the battle was quiet. Too quiet. The colonists had lived with constant danger for so long that peace felt strange. Day one could not sleep. He walked through the dome, looking at the survivors. 1,847 people. Out of 3,000 who started. So many lost. But so many saved. He found Taeyang standing outside, looking at the stars. The young commander's armor was still covered in dried Vrek's blood. He had not taken it off yet. Can't sleep either, Day one asked. Lost 12 soldiers today. Taeyang said quietly. Good people. They died protecting strangers on a planet most of them had never heard of. Taeyang. Sentiang. Taeyang. 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 They're heroes. Heroes don't make it hurt less. Taeyang turned to look at Day one. You held out for 8 days with almost nothing. That's incredible. We did what we had to do, just like you. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. 2 soldiers from different worlds, united by duty. How long can you stay? Day one asked. As long as you need us, Taeyang replied. Captain Kang Min has orders to establish a permanent defense presence. We're not leaving you alone again. The next morning, Sua and her pilots flew supply runs. The Indomitable sent down food, medicine, building materials, weapons. Everything the colony needed to survive and rebuild. Sua landed her Phoenix near the dome's entrance, where a crowd had gathered. Children stared at the dropship with wide eyes. Adults whispered among themselves. These flying machines had saved their lives. Want to see inside? Sua asked a small girl who was watching her. The girl nodded shyly. Sua lifted her into the cockpit, showing her the controls. One day, maybe you'll fly one of these. Really? The girl asked. Really. You're brave enough. You survived a war. Flying is easy compared to that. Captain Kang Min came down from orbit 3 days after the battle. He walked through the colony, seeing the damage, meeting the survivors. His heart hurt for what they had endured. We should have been faster, he told Day one. You came, Day one replied. That's what matters. You heard our call, and you came. Kang Min met with the colony council. Yuna, Ha-un, Hyun-woo, and Day one represented the survivors. They sat in a damaged meeting room, using emergency lights because the power was still unstable. Earth Command wants to evacuate everyone, Kang Min said. They're worried about another attack. No, Yuna said immediately. This is our home. We can't just leave, Hyun-woo agreed. We built this place with our hands. We buried our friends here. Kang Min looked at their determined faces. He understood. Then we make sure it never happens again. We're leaving a garrison. 100 Reapers will stay to train your people and provide defense. We'll install military-grade shields and weapons. And we're building a proper communication array so you're never cut off again. How much will this cost? Ha-un asked. We're just a mining colony. We can't afford military equipment. Earth takes care of its own, Kang Min said firmly. This is not a bill. This is a promise. No human settlement will be left defenseless. Ever. The work began immediately. Earth engineers arrived with prefabricated structures. Within a week, the worst damage was repaired. Within 2 weeks, the colony had proper defenses, shield generators, automated turrets, early warning systems. Taeyang personally supervised the training program. Every colonist who could hold a weapon learned to shoot properly. They learned tactics, teamwork, how to fight as a unit. You won't be helpless again, he told them during training. Next time, you'll be ready. Day one worked alongside the young soldiers, learning new techniques. He was older, slower, but he learned. At night, he helped Taeyang plan defensive strategies for the colony. You should consider joining the defense force officially, Taeyang said one evening. You have good instincts. We could use someone like you. Daewon shook his head. My place is here. These people need someone who understands what they went through. Someone who survived it with them. I understand. Taeyang extended his hand. But if you ever change your mind, the Reapers would be honored to have you. They shook hands, respect flowing between them. Yuna was recruited by Earth's Xenobiology Warfare Division. They wanted her research on the Vrex, her observations on alien behavior. She hesitated, torn between duty and home. Go, Daewon told her. Your work could save other colonies. That's important. But what about here? We'll be fine. We have Earth watching over us now. And besides, you'll visit. I know you will. Yuna left with the Indomitable when it departed. But she promised to return, and Daewon believed her. Ha-Un stayed. She had too many patients. Too much work. The Earth medical teams helped her set up a proper hospital, with real equipment and unlimited supplies. She trained new doctors from among the colonists. We'll have the best medical facility in the Outer Rim, she said proudly. Other colonies can send their difficult cases to us. Hyunwoo became the colony's chief engineer. With Earth's technology, he transformed New Pyongyang's infrastructure. Better power systems, stronger buildings, advanced life support. He worked alongside Earth engineers, learning everything they would teach him. This is amazing, he told Sua, as she delivered another load of equipment. Back on Earth, I was just a repair technician. Here, I'm building the future. That's what the frontier is, Sua said. A place where everyone gets to be more than they were. 6 months after the battle, the Indomitable prepared to leave. Its mission was complete. The colony was secure, defended, thriving, but a permanent garrison remained. 100 Reapers who volunteered to stay and protect New Pyongyang. Captain Kang Min gathered everyone in the new town square for a final speech. Nearly 2,000 colonists and 100 soldiers stood together. You proved something important here, Kang Min said. You proved that humans don't break. We bend, we struggle, but we don't break. You held out against impossible odds because you refused to give up. He looked at the soldiers. And you proved that Earth stands by its people. When the call came, you didn't hesitate. You flew into danger to save strangers. That's what humanity is. That's who we are. Every human settlement will be defended, Kang Min continued. That's not just a promise. It's a fact. From this day forward, any species that threatens human life will face the full might of Earth's military. We protect our own. Always. The crowd cheered. Not because they wanted war, but because they knew they were not alone. The Indomitable launched the next morning. Sua flew one last patrol over the colony before following her carrier into orbit. She waggled her wings as she passed over the town square. A farewell to the people below. Daewon watched the ship disappear into the sky. Then he turned to look at his colony. New buildings rose where burned ones had stood. People walked the streets without fear. Children played in the square. It looked like home again. Taeyang's successor, a Reaper sergeant named Min Ho, approached him. Ready to begin today's training? Always ready, Daewon replied. They walked to the training ground where colonists were learning to use their new weapons. Not because they expected another attack, but because they would never be helpless again. That evening, Daewon stood at the rebuilt communications center. Hyunwoo had made it 10 times more powerful than before. Now they could talk to Earth in real time. They could call for help and be heard immediately. Want to send a message? Hyunwoo asked. Daewon thought about it, then nodded. He opened a channel to Earth Defense Force Command. This is New Pyongyang Colony, he said. We just wanted to say thank you. You saved us. You didn't abandon us. You showed us what humanity means. The reply came minutes later. This is Earth Command. You're welcome. But you saved yourselves. You held the line until we could arrive. That's courage. That's strength. That's why we fight. Stay safe out there. We will, Daewon replied. We have good teachers. He ended the transmission and looked at Hyunwoo. The young engineer had repaired the beacon that saved them all. Now he had built something better. What do you think happens next? Hyunwoo asked. We rebuild, we grow, we make this place strong enough that no enemy will dare attack it. And if they do? Daewon smiled, a hard smile that had no humor in it. Then we show them what New Pyongyang learned. We show them what happens when you threaten humans. We fight back. The months turned into years. The colony grew. More people came from Earth. Drawn by stories of the settlement that survived the impossible, New Pyongyang became known across human space as the place where colonists and soldiers stood together against alien invasion. The Vreks never returned. They had learned their lesson. They had seen what happened when humanity got angry. They had seen Earth ships descend from the sky like angels of death. They wanted no part of that fight again. Other alien species heard the story too. They learned that human colonies were protected, that Earth would travel any distance to defend its people. It changed the political landscape of the region. Humans were no longer seen as weak or isolated. They were seen as dangerous. Daewon grew old in the colony he had saved. He trained generations of defenders, teaching them everything he learned. He made sure that no one forgot the 8 days of siege, the friends who died, the soldiers who came from the sky. On clear nights, he would stand outside and look up at the stars. Up there, somewhere, the Indomitable traveled between worlds. Sua flew her Phoenix on new missions. Taeyang led his Reapers against new threats. Yuna studied alien species, making humanity safer. And everywhere, on every human world, people slept peacefully knowing that if danger came, Earth would answer. They would hear the call. They would come from the skies. They would protect their own, always. Years later, a young colonist asked Daewon about the siege. She was too young to remember it, born after the battle. Were you scared? She asked. Every day, Daewon admitted. But being scared doesn't matter. What matters is what you do despite the fear. Did you think you would die? Yes. But I also knew that if I died, I would die fighting. And I knew that somewhere out there, humans were trying to reach us. I just had to hold on long enough. And you did. We did, Daewon corrected. All of us together. That's the secret. No human stands alone in the dark. We stand together. Always, the girl nodded, understanding. She looked up at the night sky, at the stars that held both danger and hope. Will they come again? She asked. The aliens? Maybe. Probably. The universe is a dangerous place. And if they do? Daewon smiled. He looked at the defense towers, the trained militia, the communication array that connected them to Earth's might. If they come, he said, they'll regret it, because we're not the same colony they attacked. We're stronger now. We're ready. And if we need help, we just have to call. Earth will answer. The girl smiled back, reassured. She walked away to join her friends, no fear in her heart. Daewon watched her go. Then he looked back up at the stars, at the vast darkness that held both terror and wonder. They had been trapped once, helpless and alone, but Earth's strike units had descended from the skies, and nothing had been the same since.